it starts peeling or something, because one thing's silicone and the other thing is like water based or something, and it's just like it saves me a lot of headaches for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Mhm.
said that, so when you did Leaf, that
Mhm.
was a character that you felt like didn't get a lot of like publicity in the media. Is that kind of how
Mhm.
you go about like doing certain characters, like when you do your cosplay?
Yeah, I love an underdog story, like, or just somebody, especially just like when people work really hard and then they are still the underdog. Whereas like the actress who played Leaf, she sat in literally the makeup chair for almost 12 hours. So she was saying she would get to makeup around like 8 or 9, and then be starting filming around like 11 or what have you the next morning. And
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, to go
Wow.
through all that and have she had one of the most extensive FX processes, and to have so many people cosplaying like the Night King and all these other characters, I was like,
Right.
dang, if I sat through 12 hours, I would want people to recreate this, or at least try, to recreate
Yeah.
this look. So yeah, I feel like I have a soft spot for, the underdogs. And then of course just some like childhood favorites and stuff like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha. 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 So you said it takes a long time to do these looks. I can only imagine. So it's kind of like a skill and patience that takes,
Yeah.
how getting into like cosplay is it easy to get into it? Do you like what kind of helped you like sharpen your skills?
Ooh, so I think my background in face painting definitely helped. Not all cosplayers face paint. I love that about the entire like genre slash industry, is just that um it is, everything is what you make it. And I love that one of my good friends who I've done a lot of collabs with, Kiara, told me when I was first really, really going deep into cosplay, that she said, be who the character would be if the character was quite literally you. And that really helped me a
Yeah.
lot with just channeling ideas and saying, oh, okay, this character normally has straight hair, I want to see what they would look like with curly hair, or vice versa, or like maybe I keep the straight hair but I change something about the makeup to make it more glam. So I feel like getting into it, it's kind of just about creativity, honestly.
Right.
Even with costumes that some people think, for example, I'll jump back to Leaf, right? She had an entire prosthetics team and all this stuff. And I literally sculpted my face with, I had two small prosthetics on my brows, but everything else I sculpted by hand on my face, like literally carving out a new bone structure on my cheeks, a new bone
Wow.
structure on my forehead. Everything was done with like some $5-10 sculpting wax.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of people think you need a lot of money to get started in cosplay, but really it's just about getting creative with your resources 100%.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, regarding this like whole industry, so
Mhm.
you also by day you're an FX editor as well.
Yeah, so I do a lot of FX edits and special effects, green screen work, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's really fun. And also especially FX photos. I know I started showing off some of like the photos that I edited for cosplay. And honestly, some of my friends are like, "Brie, are you sure you want to edit my photo or that?" I'm like, this is fun for me. I love being able to
Aw,
zone out and just like color things. I don't know, it's my favorite.
that's cool. That's good that you're able to like have a passion for this type of stuff and also work in that industry as
Yeah.
well.
So absolutely. I wouldn't I don't think I'd be able to go into all these things this long without having that innate interest and just hunger to like, oh, how can I do these things better, or how can I make this more realistic, and that kind of thing drives me forward every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Now, with these industries, do you find that there's not a whole lot of like gender, race, like inclusivity in these industries because it's not as mainstream? Like I feel like people like you are making it more like mainstream. People are seeing it more on social media. Do you find that there are some like discrepancies like when it comes to race and gender in these industries?
Oh, 100%. There's a lot of gatekeeping as well. One of the things that I make sure to do, like even if you go to my Twitter, I make sure to share a lot of work from cosplayers who are Black or who are Indigenous or who are kind of in the margins of the industry, because
Right.
I feel like one of the reasons why I didn't know there was a name for the thing that I was doing for essentially like 10 years already is because of the kind of gate kept nature around cosplay, right? And I felt like
Mm.
um I had to have watched 300 plus animes and then have gone to every Comic-Con or every just con period to be able
Yeah.
to participate and have to have this wealth of knowledge, when in actuality I was like, oh wait, actually I can go at my own pace, and figuring out what I've already been doing was cosplay was a massive revelation. And I feel like that's why I make an effort to boost other creators as much as possible, because I want somebody else who's younger than me to be able to look at my page and be able to say, oh, I thought it maybe Bree was just like, like drop in the bucket or just like one person doing this. But then people find out there's so many Black creators in this industry. It's just they're not getting a lot of visibility. And so,
Okay.
if I can help with that myself and even get people who follow me that aren't Black creators to repost the work of Black creators as well, that I feel like really helps with the visibility of our work.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like you are doing that for sure. Like, do you find that people are like, thank you so much for, like, do you get DMs, comments that are just like, you've
Yeah.
inspired me? Do you get a lot of that?
The most interesting thing is when I'm like fangirling over somebody's work. I'm like, oh, you look at how you ate. Like, this is fire. Da, da, da. And they're like, oh my God, I love you. Like, I followed you for years. And I'm like,
Oh,
that
that is
still
so cool.
never doesn't surprise me. I'm like, what? You
Yeah, that is
you
so
know who I
cool.
am? Like I'm over here ready to get your autograph.
Right,
Like,
right.
so I think
Oh,
that's one of my favorite things is like mutual appreciation between creators in the community is just like one of my favorite moments ever.
yeah. And I think that's what people, that's how they're like drawn to you. Like you just seem to be so humble and genuine. And I think people really connect with that. So that's awesome.
It's a life experience that I had early that I'm so grateful for early into getting into just social media. I went to an event when I had like 10,000 followers, like across all platforms, I think at the time.
Okay.
And I met one creator who was so like, the stigma around creators with high
Around it.
followings,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they weren't the nicest person. And then I really took that and I was like, oh, I don't like how that feels. And then I met a creator who was even bigger than that creator, like in following,
Right. Uh-huh.
who had a 15-minute conversation with me and really took the time out. And then even as she was leaving the little VIP tent, she was like, all right, if anyone didn't get pictures, I'll be right back after my panel. And it was
Oh.
just so sweet. Candy Johnson, by the way, just shout her name out.
Oh. Yeah,
She was
that's sweet.
so sweet. YouTube OG too, but but she talked with me for 15 minutes and was just like, so kind to me. And I know every creator kind of has their days, their off days or what have you, but
Right.
it just that experience stuck with me because of the paradox between the encounters. And so I made up my mind, even though I already feel like I'm a pretty chill kind person, I made up my mind that, like I said, I don't ever want anyone to feel the way I felt with this other creator when they meet me or when they engage with me. I want to be Candy in the general
Yeah.
sense of how people who support me or even don't feel about our interactions. So I think that's something that I'd encourage all creators to do, is like, even if you're having a bad day, like, I know it's sad that sometimes you got to put your emotions on the back burner, but it's real. Like, I just tell my followers if I'm having a bad day so they don't ever internalize if I'm like not being tripped. I'm like, hey guys, like, I remember last thing, I had a little story. I went to the dentist one time and my mouth was still numb. And you know what I mean? So I'm going to get my soup. I think I still had gauze in my mouth and everything, and I'm like,
Oh
oh,
no.
pushing through.
The
And then
struggle.
like 3 or 4 people corner my cart, and they're like, Bree, are you Bree? And they're like Smartista, which was my old YouTube